we decided to leave some of the stuff in the garden, hoping they would get a little bit bigger before we had to pick it. Our weather has changed again. For the next like 4 days, it's supposed to freeze every night. It's supposed to get down to like 25 degrees. Not tonight, but tomorrow night. Tonight it's still gonna freeze, but it'll be like 32. So we've decided we are done with this garden. At least the things that can't handle the cold. So we're gonna go pick all, the only thing we have left in there is the tomatoes and squash. So we're gonna go pick those all right now and get them inside. So our sun is already set and our light is quickly fading. So we're gonna have to be fast getting these all picked. It's also freezing out here. It's like 40 degrees already. I'm not ready for cold. We only got about a quarter of these tomatoes picked tonight. We're just gonna cover the rest because it's dark and really cold out there already, and we think we'll have better success with it tomorrow. They will be okay tonight if we cover them, I hope. They should be. It's just not gonna get that cold tonight, but tomorrow night they will not be. So me and Anna are gonna go back outside and pick all of our pumpkins. In the meantime, Caleb and Eva are in here sorting some of these tomatoes. So we're gonna let you watch them sort tomatoes while we pick pumpkins because you can't see us outside anyway. It's pitch black. Once you get one of these boxes completely, all the ripe ones out of it, start just going through the boxes and combining super green ones and
like
partially ripe ones.
Like yellowish ones.
Yeah, so give them like all the same colors if you can. Now we got the sun back out again. You can actually see what's going on. I just wanted to show you the squash that we got. We got quite a bit. We were trying to remember what all we got, what all we planted. There are strawberry crowned pumpkins. We've got 3 variety pumpkins. Giant pumpkins, jack-o'-lantern pumpkins, and jack-be-littles. They're the little tiny ones. And then the strawberry crowned. Another one like that. I don't know what they're even called. Let me show you here. There's these ones. It's not a pumpkin, that's a squash. And there's these ones. I don't remember which one's which or what they're called. Strawberry crown is one of those. And then we've got banana squash, and we did get a few little tiny, I mean they're about this big, of watermelon and cantaloupe. So we got a whole slew of squash in general. Most of them we'll eat. They can store for quite a while in our storage room. The pumpkins are just mostly for decoration and for the kids to carve, especially the giant pumpkins. We don't usually eat those. It's just too much to handle at one time. But this one pumpkin that we grew, we got a record this year. We grew, it's a record for us, not a like state record. But these giant pumpkins, we grew one that was 109 pounds. That is enough squash to easily last us through the winter. We might end up giving some of it away or trying to store some. We did some pumpkin powder last year. We might do some more of that. I'll put a link to show you how Andrew made that last year. Up there. Here is one of the cantaloupe that we got. So they're not very big. And the watermelon are about that same size. Let's see if I can find one here. Okay, the watermelon are tiny. There's one of them. I think there's a bigger one, but that's one of the watermelon. So the kids helped me sort through some of these tomatoes. These are the ones the kids sorted out last night. Got all these red ones. And then we sorted through again and got the partially ripe and the all green. And then we've got 4 more boxes over here. That is not including the probably 3 or 4 more boxes that we still have out in the garden. Hopefully we can get to those today because it's supposed to freeze really cold tonight.
We just came out to pick the rest of our tomatoes and just wanted to show you what happened in the garden last night. It froze pretty well. All that squash is pretty much dead now. But because the squash froze, we found something. What did we find, Eva?
We found duck eggs.
Look at that, a whole nest of duck eggs. She's been hiding them in here. Alright, let's uncover these tomatoes. Well, we have another full big tote full of green tomatoes. And quite a few red ones and some peppers. We're finally done picking tomatoes. Today is the day I'm finally getting around to taking care of some tomatoes. As you've seen from our previous footage, we have lots of tomatoes. So, time for me to make something. In the past, I often have pureed up my tomatoes and just put them in Ziploc bags in the freezer so that I can can spaghetti sauce and salsa later after all of the tomatoes are ripe. But this year we have a full cow, a full pig, and like 45 chickens in both of our freezers. So we don't have room for my tomatoes this year. So guess who doesn't get to procrastinate? So I'm trying something new. My sister-in-law told me that she uses her applesauce attachment for her KitchenAid to run all of her tomatoes through instead of blending them up and running them through a sieve or having to dip the tomatoes in hot water to get the skins to peel off. You just put them in your applesauce thing and it makes all the skins come off, and then you've got some beautiful tomato puree and it's all ready for spaghetti sauce. So I am going to try it out because it sounds like way easier. Also, a little side note, my KitchenAid was my grandmother's, so I always feel a little bit nostalgic when I can or do things with my KitchenAid. And also my pressure canners. I have 2 pressure canners that were my grandparents. So preserving food is always a little bit kind of going back to my roots.
Mommy, can I get pineapple and leave?
The first step is cutting up the tomatoes small enough to fit in our little hole. Turn it on. Squeaky. Uh-oh, I forgot something on the end to catch the seeds. Have to go find a bucket. Okay, now spread them. Ooh! Did it squirt everywhere?
Yeah. Mommy, now can you get me an apricot?
An apron? Oh, an apron? I just finished my first little box, which was about 10 pounds of tomatoes. And here's the result. We got a whole bowl of some beautiful puree and this much seeds and skin. I have really mixed feelings about using this applesauce maker. The puree is beautiful, and maybe if I decide to make some tomato sauce, I might keep using that because you don't want any of the seeds or things in there. Usually when I just make spaghetti sauce, I just blend up the whole tomato because I don't mind having seeds and skin in my spaghetti sauce because it's mixed with peppers and onions and all kinds of stuff. If you're just making tomato sauce, then you want it to be really smooth like this. So I'm going to do a quick experiment. I did about 10 pounds of tomatoes for this much. I'm going to do about 10 pounds again and just blend them up in the blender and see what kind of a difference we get. And we can compare, and I'll see which method I want to keep using to do my spaghetti sauce. Here's the results of my experiment. Got a lot more volume. You can see some seeds in there and maybe little chunks of skin, but I don't mind those, so that doesn't bother me. I just don't like the waste. To me, that is a lot of waste from tomatoes. However, I do follow a Facebook page called Dehydrating Divas and Dudes. And there are so many people on there that will dehydrate leftover things from when they're canning or whatever. So I think I will try that with these. Just put them in the dehydrator and then you puree them once they're completely dry into a powder, and you can use that powder in your cooking. So to sum up, I still think the blender is easier. It's faster. I don't have to cut up the tomatoes first. I just throw them all in there. So I think for making spaghetti sauce, I might continue with the blender, or maybe I'll do a little bit of half and half so I don't have quite as many seeds. If I decide to make tomato sauce, I will definitely use this food grinder because it takes out all the seeds and skin and makes this beautiful puree that's all ready to saute. One more thing I wanted to mention, when you are working with anything with tomatoes that you're going to cook, you have to make sure if you use metal that you're using non-reactive metal, which is basically anything that is not aluminum. Aluminum reacts to the acid in tomatoes and it will make your tomatoes taste metallic. I made that mistake the first time I canned spaghetti sauce with a friend. I went to her house and we got all ready and realized she didn't have a big pot to cook it all in. And so we used one of our canners, our pressure cookers, and it was aluminum. And those tomatoes tasted a little bit off. And the longer they sit in the jars, the more metallic they will taste. This is stainless steel. My bowl over here is stainless steel. And I try to even use, if I'm using any metal utensils at all with them, to use stainless steel and not aluminum. So, little tip for the day. Here's our spaghetti sauce simmering. I added some peppers, onions, oregano, and parsley, as well as salt, sugar, pepper. It's been simmering for a couple of hours. The recipe tells you to let it simmer until the whole thing is reduced by about half. Mine has only gone down like an inch after a couple of hours, and I'm not patient enough to wait for it to reduce that much. So my game plan is to just bottle it the way it is, and when we eat it with spaghetti, I can add some cornstarch and thicken it up a little at that point, or drain off a little bit of the liquid then. Ready to go into the pressure canner. I was always taught that tomatoes are an acidic food, so they don't have to be processed in a pressure canner, just a water bath. However, I've been following recipes on the USDA website, and according to them, tomatoes don't have as much acid as they used to. So this recipe recommends processing them in a pressure canner. And the salsa recipes that I'm going to try, they tell you to either add vinegar or lemon juice to get more acidity in your salsa, and then you can water bath them. Pressure canner only needs a couple of inches of water just to create steam. A water bath canner, on the other hand, you have to fill the water up to over an inch above the jars. So these are ready to go. I'm gonna use my grandfather's big All-American canner. These are very expensive, very durable canners. I have no idea, this is probably 50 years old. I have no idea. Still going strong, and I am so grateful to have it. My spaghetti sauce just finished processing, so we're gonna pull the jars out and see how it looks. They do look pretty liquidy. So maybe I should have simmered my stuff a little longer, but I'll just thicken it when we eat it, I guess. I've also got a big batch of salsa going over here. The salsa doesn't have to simmer a long time like the spaghetti sauce does, so hopefully it will go faster. I just got my second batch of spaghetti sauce going in the pot. And then I took all of the peels and seeds and blended them up in the blender. Now I'm spreading them on my dehydrator trays and putting them in to dry. I'm really glad I learned about this dehydrating site. I've learned a lot, and I hate wasting food. I normally would have just thrown this away. Well, I really would have thrown it out for the chickens, so I guess it wouldn't be going to waste completely. But I like the fact that I can just dry it and make it into a powder and use it for other things. And then I'm not wasting all this tomato stuff. Now 10:30 at night, and I finally finished my last batch of pasta sauce tonight. So I ended up getting 14 jars of spaghetti sauce, 7 jars of salsa. I actually got a couple more, but I didn't want to process them, so they're in the fridge. So 9 jars of salsa. It was a lot of work. And we still have a lot of tomatoes left. So I might be getting really creative or figuring out how to clean some of my freezer out so I can just freeze a lot of it.